Tunde was a young man who lived in the busy metropolis of Lagos, where the streets were always bustling and the market women never went home. He wasn't outspoken, ostentatious, or someone who drove the newest cars or showered folks with cash. Tunde was simply a youngster from a low-income family whose ambitions outweighed his financial means. His mother worked as a bread seller along the road, while his father was a struggling mechanic who frequently went days without employment. School was meant to be Tunde's way out of poverty. However, school life was not fair. He wore shabby shoes, carried a tattered school bag, and used second-hand books daily. His poverty followed him into the classroom and lingered long after he left. But Tunde was intelligent. He always earned the highest grades. When it came to respect, especially from the girls in school like Sophia and Lydia, who would roll their eyes whenever he attempted to say hello. It never seemed to matter that he answered the toughest questions or that his teachers always complimented him. They didn't care about intellect or compassion. If wealth was a crown, Oliver wore it with pride. He was the Pablo of the school. Boys like him wanted cars, iPhones, loud weekend parties, and money to burn. Money seemed to follow him, as evidenced by his gold chains, designer clothes, and perfumes that lingered in the air long after he passed. He would pull up to school in a different vehicle almost every week, blasting music from tinted windows. Teachers ignored him. Students treated him like a star. Girls fell in love with him. Tunde observed everything in silence, not envious at least at first. He reassured himself that perseverance would ultimately pay off. But one day during lunch break, he attempted to speak with Lydia. The whispers became louder. She looked at him as if he were a mosquito on her plate and replied, "You, I beg, no embarrass me. You fit by ordinary 100 naira airtime for me. I beg, if you know, get money, hide your face." Tunde went home that day with his head down, his thoughts racing, wondering whether, just maybe, life only values the wealthy. The laughter that followed rang in his ears that night as he sat outside, gazing up at the sky. Oliver's eyes were fixed on him the next day in classod, considering he normally wore an arrogant look. Oliver stood by the back gate, leaning against his stylish black Benz. "You be Tunde, right?" he asked. Tunde nodded, unsure where this was going. "I day observe you. You say be book, but book no day bring money for this country. Come, make we talk." Tunde followed him cautiously to an apartment thick with the aroma of wealth-expensive tiles, a massive flat-screen TV, and a fridge full of imported drinks. This was something Tunde had never seen. "You want this life?" Oliver asked, sitting down. Tunde nodded slowly. Oliver grinned menacingly. "You go spend all that money in 7 days. Yes, because you day steal the money from white people to support your life. If you live, you steal more money. You become the biggest Pablo in town just like me. If you no make you go no." Tunde sat there, motionless. Something inside him cried out, "Run." But another voice whispered louder, "This is your chance. No more mocking, no more hunger, no more shame. You day game?" Oliver asked again. Tunde slowly looked up. Yes. That night, Tunde couldn't sleep. He recalled every moment. 2 days later, Oliver drove him far outside Lagos. The wealth, the condition, and the image of his mother relaxing instead of sweating by the roadside all helped to ease his worries. They arrived at a tiny, secluded shrine wrapped in crimson fabric and animal skulls. The air was heavy, the trees whispered. Baba silently guided Tunde inside. He was tall, dark, with tribal markings and cold eyes. The walls were lined with charms, feathers, and bizarre symbols. A clay pot boiled something dark over fire, though there was no flame. "You came willingly?" Baba asked in a gravelly voice. Tunde nodded. In a language, Baba said, "Strip away all fear. What you seek is not free." Tunde didn't understand. Baba warned, "Do not test the gods." He drew a red chalk mark on Tunde's right arm, cut his palm, and poured the blood into the boiling pot. 7 days later, you will wake up a wealthy man. But if even 1 naira remains on the 7th night, your soul will be mine. Tunde was terrified. As they exited, Oliver gave him a forceful pat. "Welcome to the fraternity. Don't be stupid with your 7 days." The next morning, Tunde's phone buzzed. Payment alert. He blinked. $150 million. Yes, yes. I finally cashed out. Tunde transformed from ghetto boy to the newest Yahoo lad in town. He laughed, he wept, he laughed again. The countdown had begun. The time had already started ticking. Tunde couldn't stop staring at the payment alert. 150 million. The Brazil man actually paid, he murmured with a faint smile. The numbers looked fake, like a dream in a suit, but it was real. He screamed with delight, refreshing the app again and again. Not from fear this time, but from pure joy. He jumped, laughed, rolled on the ground, and hugged himself like he had just won the lottery. The Tunde people once mocked was gone. This was a different version of him. The first thing the new Pablo Tunde did was turn off his phone. He didn't want classmates or family suddenly calling him brother. He needed time to think and to plan. Oliver had told him, "Spend the money, don't save, don't invest. Just finish it all in 7 days." By 11 a.m., Tunde was already in a mall. Shopping clothes, shirts, trousers, watches, designer brands. In a country where everything was expensive, it didn't seem hard to blow money. Prices no longer intimidated him. Next, he went to a car dealership. The first vehicle he saw, black Benzie, bought it on the spot. Cash, no questions asked. By midday, Tunde pulled up at the school gate in style. Dark shades, Benz purring. He leaned on the car like a celebrity, dangling the keys like a trophy. The boys cheered. The girls gasped. Even teachers paused. Sophia almost fainted. Tunde grinned and whispered to her, "I wasn't like this yesterday." For once, the words felt right. He treated the girls to a lavish lunch. Bought 3 iPhones in a single afternoon. No flinch. That evening, they hit a club on Acaia Road. Bottles popped. Champagne flowed. Cash rained. He didn't even like alcohol, but he loved the feeling of control, of being the center of attention. Nobody asked about his WAEC results or where he lived. He had money, that was enough. By the end of day 1, he had 120 million left. Tunde thought, this will be easy. On day 2, he went further. He gave his mother 15 million and told her to stop selling bread. She cried, praising God over and over. His father was silent. He gave 10 million to his church. The pastor called him to the altar, laid hands on him unaware. The money dripped with blood. Tunde rented a luxury apartment, hired a cook, cleaner and driver, paid off his cousin's debts, gave his old street friends 10 million to share. Make Una enjoy. He booked a tune night trip to Abuja, parties, girls, drinks. Sophia was by his side, calling him horny and feeding him shrimp by the pool. But despite the wild spending, the money didn't seem to move as fast as it should have. By the end of day 2, Tunde still had 90 million. He was worried. How did I blow 70 million and still have this much left? On day 3, he met Oliver again. "This thing no day finish," Tunde said. Oliver laughed dryly. "The money will test your greed." Tunde looked tense. 7 days to figure this out. Man, how did you survive it? Oliver didn't answer right away. "I lost something, but I survived." Tunde didn't like that answer, but he had no time to reflect. 4 days left. On day 4, Tunde snapped. He threw a money rain party at a hotel. Everyone came: students, girls, strangers. There were fireworks, dancers, DJs. He paid influencers to post him. "Who be this new big Pablo?" The captions read, "He gave James, who once insulted him, 500,000 just to record him saying thank you on camera." But that night, the nightmares began. In bed, Tunde heard footsteps turned around nothing. He fell asleep and dreamed of a masquerade chasing him. A man with red beads chanting. He woke up drenched in sweat. At 2:45 a.m., he had a fever. His hands trembled. His nose bled non-stop. The doctor said it was stress, but Tunde couldn't explain the real cause. On day 5, he kept spending. Bought a motorcycle he didn't need. Booked a trip to Dubai, Sofia and Lydia. He wept when he realized he still had 65 million left. He had paid rent for 3 entire families in his neighborhood. His friends noticed he was off, laughing too loudly, speaking too fast, flinching from shadows. Kofi, his longtime friend, cornered him. "Tunde, tell me what's going on. You know say no day alright." Tunde paused and told Kofi everything. The ritual, the baba, the 7 days, the unending money. Kofi listened in silence. "Guy, you need spiritual help." Tunde, with tears in his eyes, whispered, "But who can help me?" Kofi thought for a moment. "Maybe my uncle. He does deliverance at his church." Just then, the lights went out. Tunde's phone rang by itself. He answered in silence. A deep voice whispered, "You can run, but you can't hide. Finish the money or die." The countdown grew louder. The air got heavier. The walls started to shift. Tunde flung the phone across the room. His nose bled again. Tunde couldn't sleep that night. The whispers wouldn't stop. The shadows moved even when the lights were on. Baba's red mark on his right arm now burned like fire. The corners of his room seemed darker, like something was watching him. He lay there, eyes wide open, clutching his bedsheet like a lifeline. Around the mark, his skin peeled, forming a strange scar he couldn't explain. At exactly 3 a.m., a patch of black crows appeared on his window, staring without blinking. He threw a shoe at them, but they didn't move. He turned off the lights, buried his face in his pillow. By morning, his complexion was pale. He looked older, like someone who had survived war. Kofi knocked urgently. "You ready? My uncle's pastor is waiting." Tunde nodded faintly. He threw on a hoodie and sunglasses, trying to hide his face, but his hands still shook. The ride to the church was quiet. It was a small but vibrant place. People were already praying, speaking in tongues. Tunde stayed at the back, sweating, trembling. Then the pastor arrived. A man in his 50s, with sharp eyes that felt like they could see your soul. "You're the boy," he said. Tunde didn't say a word. The pastor laid hands on him and began to pray. At first, nothing happened. Then suddenly, Tunde screamed so loudly that everyone turned around. He collapsed, twisting, shaking. His eyes rolled back. His lips moved, but the voice that came out was deep and dark. He is already ours. You cannot save him. The pastor shouted scripture. The congregation joined in. Tunde screamed again and again until finally he lay still, panting, eyes wide open. The church was silent. Tunde whispered, "I saw something." Everyone leaned closer. "I saw people, boys. Some I knew, they were rich but bound. They were crying, but no one could hear. A voice kept saying, 'Enjoy now, pay later.' Their feet were on fire. Their hands held gold." The pastor stood up. "Bring him back tomorrow. He's not free yet. The spirit is stubborn, but there's still time." On day 6, Tunde returned home. The crow was still there on his window. He felt lighter, but not free. He had 35 million left. He didn't want to spend another kobo. He didn't want to go out, party, or buy anything. But he had no choice. The rule was clear: finish the money or die. So he walked outside, randomly down a street, handed 1 million to strangers passing by. Some thought he was crazy. He paid for surgeries of 15 children at a hospital, bought 2,000 bags of rice and distributed them at an orphanage. People praised him. They called him a helper, a savior, an angel. But the money refused to go. The closer he got to the end, the harder the money clung to him like a curse that didn't want to leave. That night, he returned to the church. The pastor was waiting. "This is your last battle," he said. They began to pray. Louder, harder. Tunde screamed until his voice cracked. Then he saw it again, Baba, standing in a burning forest. "You broke the rule," Baba snarled. "You gave to the poor. That's forbidden." "I don't want the money. Just leave me alone," Tunde cried. "You ate the fruit," Baba laughed, "and now the tree must grow inside you." Then, in the dream, Tunde felt a hand on his shoulder. He turned. It was his mother, but her eyes were red. Her voice echoed strangely. "You let us down, Tunde." He woke up on the church floor, drenched in sweat, his shirt torn, fingers bleeding. The pastor looked alarmed. "You must go home. Destroy anything connecting you to Baba." Tunde ran. He searched everywhere. Then he remembered the red beads Oliver gave him after the first ceremony. They were still in his drawer. He grabbed them, threw them into the fire. The flames screamed yes before going out. The entire flat plunged into darkness. His phone turned off by itself. By the morning of day 7, Tunde had only 7 million left. Kofi sat beside him in silence, shaking his head. "I've done everything. I've helped people. But this money, it won't finish." Tunde responded. "How?" "There's a children's home near the Anglican church. It's about to close." Without hesitation, Tunde drove there. He handed the caretaker a check. "Fix this place. Feed the kids. Even if 1 naira remains, take it." He didn't wait for thanks. He walked out. As he reached the street, the sky turned grey. Clouds gathered. At the far end, Baba stood. But this time, he wore black, not red. Tunde stopped. Baba walked slowly toward him, dragging his feet. His eyes glowed like coals. Tunde didn't move. "Then kill me." Baba raised a hand. Lightning cracked, but a brilliant light descended from the sky. Tunde whispered, "You shouldn't have done that." The light hit Baba. Tunde screamed so loud, it shattered a store window nearby. Then everything went black. He woke up on the ground, breathing heavily. The countdown in his head. He was alive, but something had changed. Weeks later, tabloids ran the headline. Famous Yahoo boy found dead in hotel roomette was Oliver. Tunde never smiled at the news. He just stared quietly at the photo. There is no easy path to success that doesn't cost your soul. The money, the cars, the girls, they come quickly. But so does the grave. Don't trade your peace for 7 days of fame. Don't swap your future for pictures, likes, and comments. What you chase will eventually chase you. If you were moved by Tunde's story, don't just scroll. Share this video with someone. Comment, "I choose life." Let survival be your sign. Let Tunde's story be your wake-up call. Now is the time to choose life, peace, and proud, honest growth. Let's end the cycle of blood money and Yahoo Plus. Let's raise a generation that chooses truth over trends, peace over pressure, because one voice can save a life, and that voice could be yours.